So we are here speaking with one of our candidates for Prescott City Council, although I don't believe you've turned in your signatures yet. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we just want to get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
Tell who you are, why you came to Prescott, why you're running for council, and what some of your goals are.
Sure. My name's Joe Viccica. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I moved out here in 2012. I had a career in banking there, but I grew up wanting to fly airplanes. So I came out here to do just that. I started working as a dishwasher in Pennsylvania. I collected maybe less than $100 a week, and whenever I had enough money, I'd go over to the airport. Just a very small little airport there, and I'd take a flying lesson every once in a while. I was flying before I was driving a car, and I wanted to come out here to finish that. So I came out here in 2012. I got my pilot's license, and I just loved Prescott so much I decided to stay. I should go out to the Dosey Pits and I shoot, I hike the trails, I kayak, I play Pokemon Go in the square. I've just really loved the city of Prescott, and I decided to buy a house. We bought a house, my spouse and I, we bought a house in Yavapai Hills, 2013. We were here for a year. And it needed to be renovated, so we renovated it, and now I feel like it's time to start getting involved in the community. I want to build it up. One of the things to me that's most important is that from being here and from trying to get myself established in the city of Prescott, it's not easy for a millennial to do that. One of the things that I'd like to see changed is keeping young people here in town. And the city hasn't done a great job of it up until this point. They've finally hired Jim Robb, who I think is doing a great job, and we're going to see a lot of great things from him in the very near future. But we just sent the biggest graduating class Embry Riddle has ever had out the door without any job opportunities to stay here in Prescott. And a lot of students enjoy the city of Prescott. They want to stay here. I think that I'm sick of having going away parties, really frankly. And we'll change that.
So, do you have a job here? What are you doing here while you're, besides running for council?
Sure. So we bought the house in Yavapai Hills, and it needed to be renovated. We bought it very much under what we expected we were going to buy. It's a little bit bigger for us, but we spent that time to renovate it. I worked with a local candidate here in town, which got me into politics, actually, Peter Pearson. He's an independent. And I worked with the International Olympic Committee in Rio de Janeiro most recently.
Doing what?
Oh, I was the team leader for the golf course. Golf is a sport that the Olympics hadn't had since 1904, and they brought it back for 2016, and they put it on a preserve. And on this preserve, there are alligators, there are three-toed sloths, and our responsibility, my team, was to make sure that people separated themselves from the animals, and the animals separated themselves from the people. So we worked with a couple of different groups to make sure that was the case.
So was that a volunteer opportunity, or was that a paid opportunity?
It was a volunteer opportunity, yes.
Okay.
And I was in Rio for about 2 months.
So that was probably pretty fun, to be there for the Olympics. And
It was. I learned a lot about the city of Rio. There was a lot of fear going into it. We were scared about the water. We were scared about Zika. We were scared about being robbed. And it really was none of those things. And the culture of it is something, it's inspiring, really.
So now you've decided you're going to run for city council. What makes you want to run for council specifically? Are there other things that you might, like school board or something? I mean, why council?
So my father was a public servant for a good portion of his life. He was a police officer, and he's always an inspiration to me. We grew up and we never had a lot of money, but he wanted to make sure that we had a safe place to live. And seeing now that the city council has control over how much funding that the police department gets, and they've cut it back quite a bit because right now we have the unfunded liability of PSPRS. I just want to make sure that the police officers are not forgotten. I want to make sure that we're keeping young people in town, and now is the time to do that.
Speaking of PSPRS, the tax initiative is on the ballot for Prop 443. Do you support that initiative?
I do support 443, and here's the reason why. My father, like I said, was a police officer. When I was young, he was shot in the line of duty by someone who just wanted to know what it felt like to shoot a cop. And Thankfully, he survived. He's okay. He's retired now, but he relies on the pension now that he's retired that he received as a police officer. We have a commitment to police and fire to make sure we're making our payments for their pension and their future. And I want to continue that.
You talked about wanting to bring or to keep young people here in town. What are some of the specific things you would do to achieve that?
Of course. One of the things I've noticed is that we're calling ourselves a retirement community more and more. And that may be turning away college graduates, that may be turning away young innovators, future business leaders, and startups. We need to recognize that that could be the case and take a step back from that. And that doesn't mean that I don't want us to be a retirement community. I hope that I retire here someday as well. I've got my house and it's my own, so I expect that will be the case. But Prescott is everybody's hometown, and we need to remember that.
Okay, so you came out, you mentioned that you love to fly.
I do.
Did you say you attended Embry Riddle?
I did attend Embry Riddle. I completed their private pilot program, and I have a private pilot's license.
And did you get any other degree from them at all?
I did not get any other degree. It was just a private pilot's license.
So, so what do you think about Embry Riddle as a resource in the community?
It's an incredible resource in the community. It's one of the largest schools of intelligence. They have a global securities and intelligence program that we need to start drawing from as the city. We can start pulling in companies like Microsoft or even maybe Raytheon that could look towards having an anti-espionage counterintelligence unit here in Prescott for their company.
And what are your thoughts about the airport?
I think that the airport is our engine for economic development. Because I've flown, I might be a little bit biased to that, but I think that it would be a great idea to work towards having that airport become a regional airport. From where I'm from in Pennsylvania, we started out we had a regional airport. It was called the Avoca Scranton Airport. Just in the past few years, they became the WilkesBarre Scranton International Airport. When they did that, they had larger companies like FedEx come in. They have UPS that have on-site facilities that can have a pretty quick turnaround on products for other businesses right in WilkesBarre Scranton. And one of the best things that they've done is do that because now there's a Home Depot distribution location there as well. And more businesses are starting to sprout up near there, which all creates economic opportunity for the city.
Some of the council members have expressed in the past that if it were to become a regional airport, then some of the other communities in the area, in the region, so to speak, would have to they need some skin in the game, you know? I mean, Prescott's been paying for the airport for years and years and years. And so should Prescott Valley have to pitch in some money to help with this or that, or Chino Valley or the county?
Well, that's a very good question. If they do pitch in, they're definitely allowed a say in how the airport grows and what the terminal looks like. If we've been making those payments, and it's mostly been us making up for the deficit at the airport, which has about $1 million deficit right now for the fiscal year. If we're the people paying for that deficit, we should try to be the ones that get to create what the airport looks like in the future.
You mentioned that you had a career in banking.
Yes.
When you were in Pennsylvania. So the budget discussions are about to heat up here pretty quick for the city of Prescott. Have you been looking at the budget? What do you see that could be changed? What do you think they're doing right? And where would you want to put money?
Sure. One of the big things for me, and it's probably no surprise, that I think that we've made a lot of cuts to police and fire. I believe that it's making us less safe. So when the chief of police, Deborah Black, when she needs an officer, when she needs other equipment that help our city stay safe, we should be able to give that to her.
So are you saying you don't feel safe in Prescott?
Not at all. I feel very safe in Prescott, and the police and fire that we have here do an incredible job. In the last fiscal year, we had 68 police officers, and they took 25,000 calls for service. And 40% of those calls required a second officer. They work very hard for the resources they have.
In the fire department, we've been getting rip and roll or rip and run reports on a weekly basis recently, and I mean they're doing 180, 200 a week a lot of times. Calls that they have to answer.
I just have a special place in my heart for police because my father was a police officer.
Right.
But fire is no different. They work just as hard. I believe they had 8,000 calls last fiscal year.
Mm-hmm. So you've done your research. That's obvious.
I have.
What about the library? I mean, if you put a bunch more money towards the police and fire department, you might have to close another day of the library.
I don't believe in closing the library. They've had 750,000 people visit the library last year. Each of those people that come downtown to visit the library will maybe buy a slice of pizza at Bill's or buy something from Tara's. I think that it's something that we need to have. It's part of our quality of life, and I don't support pulling money from the library.
What about the push towards tourism? That's been a great economic driver in the community for the last several years. Do you agree with that push? And do you think that it needs to be pushed harder or in conjunction with economic development like they've been discussing? What are your thoughts about tourism?
Of course. What the City Council is doing right now is they're focusing finally on what we have here. We have history for Prescott. We were the capital of the Arizona Territory. And I think by focusing on that, we are able to pull money for our economy, which can help pay for things like PSPRS. The city's focus on it is good. There's probably a few more things we could do as well. I've talked to a couple of people that said that maybe having something like the Freedom Trail here in Prescott for our monuments and our history might be a great idea. That might cost the city not a whole lot of money. So that's something we can do. We need to make sure that we're also balancing our tourism with economic development.
What about some of the big box stores? I know a lot of people really like to put the Walmarts and Targets of the world down, but they bring a lot of money to the city. What are your thoughts about that?
They do bring a lot of money for the city. At the same time, I don't believe that we should be discounting all of the local stores here in town as well. We have a lot of small hike shops, small local mom and pops that we don't want to forget. The stores bring in a lot of money, but it doesn't give us the charm or the beauty of Prescott.
So do you shop at Walmart?
I do shop at Walmart.
Do you shop at the smaller hike stores too?
I do shop at the smaller hike stores. I've been to the Hike Shack a ton of time.
What about online? I mean, that's a big deal. A lot of people are going online to find the goods and services they need.
A lot of people are going online, and for our community, we're a little bit of an older community. It might be a little bit easier for some people to shop online, but a lot of people like our downtown. Our downtown is a draw, and that's where most of our small businesses are. And
you've mentioned several times about the fact that Prescott's kind of known as being a retirement community, and you're not of retirement age yet.
Nope.
And so we don't want to let the retired citizens and residents languish by any chance, but you do want it to be vibrant for the younger people.
Of course.
Am I expressing that correctly?
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'd like.
So how do you think the city is managing technology in their outreach to people of all ages?
Sure. I could speak for myself on this one. I really enjoy technology, and now that I have my own house, I could do all the fun things that I've always wanted, like change all of the switches in the house to smart switches and talk to Alexa, which is Amazon's Echo, to try to just make my home a smart home.
So, but how do you think the city is reaching out to people through technology? Do you think they're utilizing social media as well as they could? Do you think they're using technological advances like accepting payments online and that sort of thing as well as they could? Or do you think there's areas for growth there?
There are definitely areas for growth everywhere. The city's done a great job. They stream their videos online. There are payment options that you can make your payments online. I know that we pay our water and our trash bill online. There could be points for improvement. I'm not sure right now what those improvements are, but be guaranteed I will see them once I'm there to make them.
why should people in the city of Prescott want to vote for you instead of like a Steve Blair, who's been on council for many, many years and is, is born in the community, or a Great Lozelle, people who have been in this community for a long, long time? What will you bring that's different?
So I will bring enthusiasm to the table here. One of the things that not many other candidates here in town have, or that I have that they don't, is that I'm young and I'm what the city is trying to attract. I'm a millennial. I'm looking to contribute to the city, and I want to see some changes that the city council hasn't made yet, like school board meetings. The city council used to have school board meetings with the city council, and that's something they haven't had for a while now. That would be instrumental in making sure that we can find points for collaboration with the school board.
Okay, any other great ideas you think the people of Prescott should know that you're bringing to the table?
So the most important thing, of course, is police and fire. And we need to stop viewing police and fire as numbers on a spreadsheet. They are an important part of our community and go out of their way. When they can make more money down in Phoenix, we need to make sure that they know that we support them.